else? How was your morning, your evening?
Uh, I wonder how far you're gonna stretch that out.
Is
Can you hear me?
there anybody out there?
Oh, sorry, I was on mute. I wonder how far you're gonna try to stretch that out. That
I'm in
initial
this
opener,
morning.
like how many other things can you possibly add? Eventually, the entire morning show is just gonna be, 15 minutes of you going and other things and some stuff and then some whatnots, but also the what
Maybe
ifs and then the what if nots.
in the such and whatnots.
Yeah,
You know
how
what?
are we
I
gonna
have
do
an idea.
this?
This is a great note. Why don't you and I get on the phone after hours and we can go ahead and come up with a good intro together? What you say there, buddy?
I'll think through it during the day. I'll try to put some ideas together. I don't talk outside of market hours. Uh,
We know.
no, I'm just
Was the
kidding.
joke.
I know. I'm just
That
kidding.
was the joke.
Yeah.
All right, man. Did you have a good evening?
Yeah. Yeah. It was pretty good. It was
Good.
pretty. Didn't do
All
a
right.
whole lot last night. Spent a lot of so. One of my little quick side story is, this ranch that we bought. It turns out that uh, the the neighbor on one of the fence lines um, is has remodeled this house that was built in the 70s, and his plan was to eventually move into it. Well, I ended up talking to him at the fence line. I met him, and he's telling me about it. I'm like, well, I live a couple miles away, but if you're ever interested in, maybe selling the place, uh, I'd love to know about it before, you put it on the market. And he's like, well, actually, so we ended up uh, looking at looking at the house and the property and that sort of thing, and he doesn't know what he wants for it. So I spent the majority of the evening last night trying to come up with what a fair number is, because he's like, well, why don't you just, the house is paid off. Why don't you just, come up with what you think it might be worth? Because I don't really know, and then we'll use that as a starting point and see what we can come up with. So the house is quite a bit smaller than the house that we currently live in. So it would be, kind of one of those. It would be uncomfortable for a while until we could, add on to it or something. But uh, it's another 6 acres that is right next door to the property that we bought, and my wife has this dream in her head that she's going to wake up in the morning with her coffee and go out and visit the horses. So,
That's nice.
I guess.
That's nice. I hope you get it, man. I hope it works out. It's like, I think being close to the animals is great. That's a cool thing. I think that's a really cool thing. I'm cheering for you. I hope
Well,
you're able
it
to
doesn't
lasso
do a
that in.
ton for me, but yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll be probably setting up an office uh, in the kitchen because it's smaller.
A bit smaller.
Yeah.
So square footage from one to the other. Like how much smaller are we talking about?
About 1,500 square feet.
Ooh,
Smaller. Yeah.
smaller,
Yeah.
smaller. Yeah. You could also build a badass barn, an office in the barn.
Well, and that would be the idea, right? Like, uh, the difference in what we could sell our house for and what we think we could buy that one for would
Mhm.
allow us to probably, you know, put up whatever kind of building we want. But that takes time, right?
Definitely
So
takes time.
there's going to be a while
And
where it's just not going to be that comfortable.
if you live where I do, you can't find a contractor, so you got that going for you.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. All right, man. So, news-wise, it's like the front and center continues to be the strength of the dollar. That continues to be the conversation. Pretty much every publication, every news outlet, everything. We're looking at, you know, been over 20 years since the gap has been this wide between yen and the dollar. Their monetary policy is completely different. They still firmly believe that they should not be raising rates. They should be staying low. We're just on the other side of that ticker. So the dollar continues to be a flight to safety amongst a basket of currencies that nobody wants. It's in a lot of ways, it's kind of reminiscent in some capacities. Remember how oil was negative at one point? This is kind of lining up the same way when you look at it, how there is not another currency out there that's worth even spitting on. That's effectively what is going on in through there. So there is that. Outside of that, we have a plethora, Bender, a cornucopia of Fed speakers today and tomorrow. We also get Powell speaking tomorrow. Not sure what the context of the speech is tomorrow, but we do get Powell in the morning. We also get job numbers at the same time. So I posted in here, we get Barkin speaking in 4 minutes. We get Messer speaking at the top at 10 o'clock Eastern. Messer speaking is going to be interesting because she had rolled out this pretty extensive return to price stability about a week or so ago. I'll be curious how she comments on that as we go through. We also get Brainerd. So we get 3 Fed speakers today. We also get Beige Book. Beige Book could be really, really interesting at the same time. I think it's been pointed out a couple of times. And we get the JPY. They have GDP in Japan this evening. So that is effectively what we're looking at. We get Fed speakers throughout the day and tomorrow, so we can expect whipsaw type action. We've spilled down to this level a couple of times this morning. I guess one of the articles that was pointed out was a Wall Street Journal article, and you can actually time it, to the candle when that article was released. Basically talking about how the Fed may surprise everybody with a 0.75 increase on this next cycle, which has been talked about. I think anything more or less than 0.75 would be a complete and utter surprise to the market, more so than a shock. So we do have those conversations within that article. Again, they're getting, I say there's a level of, I don't even know what the fuck it is, but they're recycling 2-3 week old quotes within that article. And the fact that the Wall Street Journal can't get a more recent quote is a little bit like, okay, what's really going on? Regardless of what's really going on, we have levels and we have price action and we have flow. Bender, can you tell us about the levels so we can figure out the price action?
And flow.
I'll get into flow at the end.
Yeah. So let's see. We're currently sitting right at just above 3,900, 3,903. Obviously, yesterday 3,900 was kind of that key area. As we expected, it would be a battle on both sides. 3,906 just above is the 10 MA on the 60 minute, and 3,908 was yesterday's close. So right here, between 3,900 and 3,910, you have those two levels. I think the key today, I think is 3,915. If we, do get a little bounce, let's see what the action looks like at 3,915. That is the weekly developing midpoint. Is 3,915. I think above 3,915, we can look at yesterday's or the overnight high, which is 3,923, and then I got a fib at 3,955. If we stay below 3,915, we can't break above that. Then we've got 3,900, obviously, and then 3883.25 was the overnight low, so I'd be looking at like 3885, just above that. Below that, you got previous support at 3870, and then 3853. There's a fib there.
3853. There's a fib. So okay, we've ping-ponged on these levels right in through here. We made a lower low yesterday. Wait, do you have any feels on any of this?
No, not really. Because I think that, like I said, I think that 39.15. I mean, if I had feels, it would say that okay, if we go up and test 39.15 and reject it and make a move lower, then again, then I target 38.85. Below that, 38.70.
Mhm.
If we can get above 39.15 and hold it for more than 5-10 minutes,
Seconds.
yeah, then I think uh, we can go test the overnight high. And if we get above that, I think we're looking at 39.50. So uh, no, I don't. I mean this area right here at 3900 has been, there's so much price action that has taken place. Going all the way back to whatever it was, February of last year. Uh,
Mhm.
so I don't know if we hold it or not. I'm not sure, but my game plan is to, uh, you know, my game plan is to see if we can get a bounce and test 39.15 and see what we do there, or we break below 3900, maybe get a bounce to recheck and fail, and look short there. I think if you're looking short, I think the ideal scenario would be that we go up 39.10, um, or closer to 39.15, and flow is bearish. Your indicators are pointing down. I think that's a decent spot to take a shot short. And on the flip side, pop through it, come back, recheck, hold 39.15, flow improves. Not a bad spot to to check long. I think here at 3900 or right at 3900, I mean you can play it with tight stops, but I think trying to guess if we're going above or below, uh, before we open here, I think it's literally just a guessing game. Um, the midpoint of that down channel uh, would still come into play, and that's at like 39. That would come in at like 39.12. Um, so that's why it's kind of like, again, 39.15 being that weekly developing midpoint, that also puts us above the midpoint of the down channel. Um, so that's kind of what I want to see. I want to see what we do if we can get there.
Well, that's, I don't know if I feel relieved or more anxious that you're about as fucking clueless as I am.
Yeah,
So that's good.
I don't know what it's gonna do.
Yeah, no, well, it's, sometimes we come in and we can look and see what's going on and be like, okay, so flow is this, charts are setting up like this. Okay, we're going to make a move in this direction. That the odds say that. The odds, this is like, this is a pick 'em game. This is, it can literally go either way, but we have to understand that the downside pressure is they're still there. There are still sellers they will sell their fucking mama 10 times over.
Well, and that's the thing, right? We're at support, which has a decently wide range. We could say, oh well, we're at support. We're at 3900. Well, yeah, but that also doesn't mean that we don't go down to 38.70. You know, technically, you're still at support all the way down to say 38.65.
Mhm.
And you're still at resistance up at 39.50, 39.60. So there's a range in there, but it's simple to say, oh, we're at a level that could be support, but the narrative and the uh, the looming, I guess, all of the information that's out there, it says, okay, well, we're not bullish yet. So does that mean it holds or it doesn't hold? You already said the day is packed full of bullshit and Fed speakers and data.
Mhm.
So no,
Mhm.
you really can't
It's really
guess.
not so much data. Well, yeah, no, there are a couple of data points there, but it's the Fed speakers, and the question is how are they going to jawbone it? Are they going to try to come in little? So I guess there's two trains of thought. If they come in a little bit less hawkish, okay, less hawkish, they're not going to come in dovish. If they come in less hawkish, does the market take that and run? Or you can say at the same time, if they come out just as hawkish, just as intense, with that same mindset and intent that they are going to fucking just empty everybody's savings account, that they are going to fucking lift rates up through the moon, that they are going to beat the shit out of the middle class and any type of a small business. If that's their tone and the market doesn't move, that means it's priced in.
There you go.
There's just so many, you know what I mean? There's just so
Mm-hmm.
many different ways to look at this. And that's why it becomes very, very difficult to trade this environment because you just don't know. It's like Flo towards the end of the day yesterday told me that there's a decent chance that we had a gap up. Decent chance we had a gap up. The flow in the last, let's say, 25, 30 minutes of the day. Um, then we come in and it's like, okay, here's a couple of headlines to go ahead and stick in your butt. Um, it's like the fact that the dollar continues to rage on data that is just like, but again, it's like when you are the best turd in the bowl, everybody wants you. It's like you have some firmness in the dollar. That's a firm turd right there. You got everybody else with fucking dysentery. It's just
Yeah.
like it's not. It just isn't. It's not a good picture for equities. Now, eventually, the dollar is going to take a nap. Eventually. But if you can figure that out and you can nail the top, then you a real gangster of the dollar or a legitimate gangster over there. So
Tell us when
that's
that's
what I
going to happen.
got. Yeah. Stockington, tell us a story.
Hello, good morning. I did have an idea recently about these intros, and some of the other podcasts, they give a nice little reminder what episode. Checked out the YouTube page, episode number 58 this morning on Roadhouse Last Call. Food for thought.
For thought.
We'll see. That
58.
way, at least based on that YouTube page, yeah.
I'm gonna say it feels like more than 58, and maybe so it didn't.
You're such a fucking asshole.
Feels like it's been like 6 months. Sorry, go ahead, Tom.
Years from now, episode number 400. What? No. Yeah. Okay. Levels. Yeah. I don't need to change anything today. We're where we were last night when I made the list, so the list is intact. I'm looking at Nvidia here. It bounced pre-market off my 134.3 line, and so I'd be looking to take Nvidia short if we go below that. Looks like the dividend is done, so maybe we'll get to see some Nvidia flow. If we go up, I'll be looking at psychological flat even number 136 on Nvidia to take Nvidia long. Apple had some dark pool last night, $288 million sitting at 154.53. So if we're going to go up on Apple, I'm watching 155.25, and then if we're going to go down, there was a different dark pool at 153.85 that basically worked as support yesterday throughout the day. So I'll be watching that. And then we've got Tesla still within my levels. Basically, high of day from yesterday would be the call trigger 275.95. And then I've got this line 271.95 if Tesla was going to move to the downside. Only other thing I would mention, there was, I won't go through them all because there was a lot of different dark pools last night. But it would be worth checking the feed. There's a few interesting ones, like Merck came in last night. 3M, we've been seeing 3M a ton recently. Maybe if we get Suns like a little list posted here, Square was on the list from last night. So if any of those are tickers that you'd like to trade, it would be worth checking the historical feed. And they did add to the 392.18 area on the SPY. That's all I got.
They did flip out of those 64 puts on Square yesterday. They were moving off of those. I can say that for sure. They flipped off of a good amount of Tesla 265 puts also. And I'm glad you brought up Apple because I totally forgot it. You know, Kong over there has its, I believe its event today. Apple is usually and historically runs into these events and then sells after. Is not run into this event. So if it decides to sell after, that's going to be pretty messy considering where we are. I don't think the market can take Apple deciding to go ahead and straight line down for whatever reason. So that's kind of where my head is at and what we're looking at. We do again have, like I said, a bunch of Fed speakers today and okay, it looks like said something over there. Today, and then I guess Powell speaks in the morning. Still don't know what that speech is about. This is where we're at. This is the game. So let's try to be smart. Let's try to be nimble. Let's try to work together. If we see something, say something. One of those things. You see the dude in the van pulling up, scream. Outside of that, Bender Stockington, thank you for another great morning. That's all I have. Do you guys have anything else?
Nope.
It says nope. All right. 17 minutes until open.